right on the boundary line. It's a good kick. Moran jumps for it, off the hands and through for a minor score. There they go.
Very cultural down here, Phil. The Frankston, I think it's called the Frankston Cultural Centre. Big new building built here. It's having its impact, obviously.
No doubt they're all talking about Picasso on the hill, Ross. Love and war. I reckon they'd probably accentuate the love bit.
Yeah, Picasso and a Capricciosa. Yeah, Perry. To Gapin. Backwards kick. Half volley, so it's okay. McMahon. Ooh. Howard got his way, kick in the nick of time.
Oh, easy as you like.
Shackleton to Rawlings. Doesn't seem too excited, but they've got 3 goals. And the margin, 71 points at 3-quarter time, now is 52 points.
I suppose I shouldn't mention Picasso because I did think I read somewhere that Sam Newman doesn't rate him. So
I like the quote in the paper this week about Picasso. Has he been fooling us for all of these years, or does he just find really funny-looking people?
Well, a lot of girls liked him, which means he must have had something going for him. You would think.
We'll just leave that hanging there for a minute because there's a free in the middle of the ground. And it's going to go this time to Frankston. So it's been all one-way traffic so far in the last quarter. 3 goals for Tasmania. But as we said, too little too late. Morris does well. Somehow manages to keep it in play. Gave it back to Phibbs, who gives it to Kennedy. And good courage there. Terrific mark by McMahon, who knew they were coming but put his body on the line. Flares it wide to Street, to Howard, back to McMahon, who's run well from half back. Eames going back with the flight of the footy, went over the head of Andrews, and the big man takes the easiest of marks. Not much pressure on some of these marks for Frankston though. Phibbs unattended. Just on the attacking side of the wing in front of the scoreboard, showing the 52-point margin. Kemperman finds himself all alone. Look at this, just strolling up towards the 50, looking for Edwards. Out he comes again and will line up for goal number 9. That was a bit too easy. In fact, it was way too easy.
Oh, Finch, who's got the job on him, has got no hope. I mean, he's not big enough. He doesn't know what to do. He just does not know what to do. He's got no support from any talls. No one filling the gaps.
4 goals in the 3rd term for Aaron Edwards. Goal umpire does not have to move. 9 goals for the game. And not his best, as Ross said. 12 goals against Port Melbourne earlier this season, but the rout continues.
He can play, this kid. How's your Samoan, Ross?
Not good. I'd be looking for the word exciting. And it's good because he did had a injury riddled time at West Coast, and now he's back and he's enjoying his football. It's good for him.
Yeah, it is good. It's good to see the Dolphins picking up players of his calibre too, and with a bit of luck, if they add a few more, they could be, you know, they could be in the mix for the top half a dozen.
Yes, this win will help them get into the 8 as Hines, wearing the headgear, gave it to Fortnum. To Conroy, busy little midfielder, up to Berry, got first hands on it, spoiled by
silly.
DiVenito there.
Oh, well, they were at it when the centre bounce was on, but look at this.
What was Berry thinking? Would he be a sledger when he was bowling, Ross, do you reckon?
He might have bowled
Have you missed one?
A few short ones.
What's that bit of timber for, mate?
Up goes Andrews. Hall at the fall, started well in the first half. Screws it round the corner towards Moran. Gee, that was shocking by Moran. Gave that free kick away. To Pollard. In short. Away goes Kennedy with the ponytail. Eames. Berry again. Now, Oliver snapped at goal, and this one not quite so lucky from Chris Oliver. 3 goals to him.
Well, that might be the only dark cloud over what happens to Frankston today with Justin Berry there. It was unnecessary, and especially in a televised game, there's nowhere to hide. Perry. Kick towards half back. Phibbs pushing back. Again, under no pressure whatsoever. Roberts coughed it up. Setchell takes the mark at half back for Tassie. Howard runs for him. At least presents a target. Now he has to throw the handbrake on to Hall. On the corner of the centre square, kicks it into the pocket. And the defender had to be careful there. And he did it pretty well too in Pollard, because he had to put it down, tap it towards the boundary line without tapping it over and giving himself away.
So he's in hard form these days.
Jade Rawlings couldn't do a thing about it. Boys on the hill are pretty happy and well refreshed.
I wonder what they're planning on cooking for tonight, for dinner.
What would you think, Phil? What's on your menu? Stir fry? We'll come back to you in a moment, because it's Perry who goes in the Rawlings direction, and he tried to nudge Pollard under the footy and didn't get anywhere near it in the
At least there's a fair chance that when I do put the knife onto the board, I know what I'm chopping, because I reckon if you gave a knife to one of those blokes to chop up a carrot, they might lose the finger. I reckon it'd be steak and mash for that lot, or a few snags and chop a couple of tomatoes.
McMahon gets a high one. He battles on. Setchell tried to grab it. Payne to Ken Hall. Snaps truly, I would suggest, and they now have 4 goals for the quarter.
Ross, get excited. Was it a good goal or what?
Well, it was. He just threw it on. There's not much excitement amongst those Tasmanian players.
No, but it was... well, I mean, they're just so disappointed in their performance, the Tassie Devils, no question about that, but there is no excitement.
I'll tell you, did get excited. Watch the little fella in the fluoro green behind the goals.
Yay, you're guilties.
How long to go? 8 goals, can they get up? Well, it's only 10 minutes in.
You can still get on with me if you want to, and I'll give you a shade of odds if you like.
Give me another 10 minutes and I'll make the call.
Hines. Kennedy goes to ground.
Yeah, it's pad thai tonight I'm actually making with
righto.
prawns and chicken.
Anything you'd like to share with us? Just a little specialty that makes it different?
Nothing in particular.
No?
Just a bit of care. A couple of glasses of Chardonnay while you're doing it.
I reckon Normie will have a couple of glasses tonight,
yes,
too.
I think he will. 177 games for the big bloke. Great performance.
Howard gets it to half forward. Knocked away from Moran. Wade applies the tackle. His opponent may not have had the footy. Payne up and under ball. Rawlings used his body quite well in the end. And so he can make it 5 goals to 1. So Jade Rawlings, who's already kicked a goal in the final quarter, coming in for his 3rd of the afternoon. Well, that just about sums up Tassie's day.
Damn, and look at that silly... Isn't that silly? That fella, that's Kemperman, running at Jade Rawlings and bumping him and fronting him. Oh, that sort of stuff, you know. We saw Nathan Love at Murray whack a bloke last night, and Peter and I were talking about it. Yeah, it's wrong, but if blokes keep doing that stuff to other blokes and jumper punching, I don't know why they get surprised.
And Roberts called a play on to Kemperman. Pollard found Kennedy with a kick in. Now Kemperman to the wing. Moran is there. Couldn't spoil Eames, the big fellow. Whips it inboard. Fortnum towards Berry. Worked under the ball by DiVenuto. Justin Berry won't like that. Oh, and he just misses with a side bump. With a protected shirt front. Meantime, Perry near the centre circle has a lead really wide. Thought he might ignore it, but doesn't. There's the Dolphins to spoil. Kennedy did well. Pushed the ball forward. Phibbs now opening up for him. Berry again in front of DiVenuto. And over the top comes Chris Oliver. Growing in confidence, the big fellow. Now he's got Edwards one out. Edwards makes the lead. It's a high ball. Shackleton hasn't got the height. Good effort by McMahon to get in there with support. Big fist away. Street. Grimer. Tassie looking a bit better. Just steadying at the back here. Street tries the torpedo. It sort of worked, but straight to the Dolphins. Poor kick.
Nobody to kick it to, and Winterton went straight down his throat. 1-2 with Murphy. Builds up the disposals, and he had plenty of those early. Out comes Oliver on a strong lead. Takes the mark without hesitation. Looks for Berry in the pocket. He can do anything on his day, Berry. He can do anything, and he actually started that on line. We had a great view of that, but the twirl of the ball and the swirling kick just took it away from the goals and out.
I think Shackleton with the job now on Edwards, that would make it, I reckon, around about 4 different opponents for the game.
As you can see from the 9-goal tally, not very successful. And that is not very successful either.
And that's from an AFL-listed player.
Perry kicking it out of bounds on the fall. Marigliani brings it in. Perry, a chance for redemption here. Marks strongly in front. Got the lights on here at Frankston. And for Tassie, the lights are on, but there's no one home, and there hasn't been all day. With the possible exception of Setchell, who gets it to Beams. McMahon hasn't been their worst either. He's running in shotgun now with Finch. McMahon just gets rid of the intending tackler. Going back with the flight was Payne. Rawlings, Wade. No one to give it to, though. Dolphins with all the numbers. Payne dived in down the bottom of the pack, but it won't come out. And we're halfway through the last quarter.
This round 13 match, both sides with 4 wins. Outside the 8 in 9th and 10th place. Frankston a game in hand too will be very handy. Moran backs into Eames. Finch comes up with it. Payne wheels around. Nick Payne, shot on goal. Got a bit of purpose about that. Hines with the bandage. He's the captain today. Pollard kicks in.
And kicks in short to Kemperman. Wide to Murphy. Chips it across to Kennedy. Possession game here. Just talking about the Nathan Lovett-Murray incident, Phil. The one thing I'd say about that is that if they give carte blanche to everyone who's annoyed by Josh and Matthew Carr, the queue will be longer than the queue for cans here this afternoon.
Yes, indeed. And I'm not for a minute suggesting that it's appropriate, just an observation about some of the things that can go on in footy these days with the jumper punching and the like.
Roberts to Phibbs wide, inside to Benbow. On his limit, so he just kicks it up in the air and says, Edwards, have a jump for it. And he did, and it went through his fingertips. Shackleton, the man, as Phil said, providing the cover at the moment. Yet again, another field bounce. There's been plenty of those today. Well, we spoke about Frankston's run over the next few weeks. Tassie have got Coburg at Aurora Stadium at night next week, and then the Scorpions at Bellerive. Berry, as he was falling, might have got a high one. Interesting disposal from Hay. McMahon bangs it out of there into wide open spaces, but it will come back in again if Winterton can keep it in, and he does. Murphy, and his kick, ill-directed. Street chops it off for Tassie.
Nathan Street spotted a man. Oh, the kick's been intercepted. Phibbs running in, almost open goal. Will convert. Kicked it very high. It wasn't all that elegant as the man ran at him, Shackleton, but he has got the goal. Only their second this quarter, as Tassie have added 4.
Well, he knew exactly what he was doing, actually, Ross. He did go high because the player was coming towards him. He went a bit further towards him than I thought he should have, but that was a bad kick across from Street, wasn't it? Phibbs goes in, and when the bloke comes in, he realises, I'll have to kick high, but he keeps his head over the ball, and he knows where it's going. And it covers the distance and gives him another 6 points. Big effort by him too. When it was really important early in the game to set the pattern, he was there doing great creative things.
Moran from the middle tries to brush his man, was able to get a legal handball. McMahon had a finger on it for the moment. That's a trip against Grimer.
Good hand.
Murphy wide to Conroy, into the corridor to Edwards again. And that time he went one-handed, just couldn't hit him. And some gang tackling going on here by Shackleton and Perry.
There was a lot of talk about Moran too, wasn't there? And I think he was on the post when you talked to Dean Laidley in an interview, Peter, about maybe he was held back at Port. Well, you know, he just doesn't seem to me to be going quite forward at the rate they want him to either.
Wheeling around in circles, Frankston able to get the ball to Burns. Perry's got it now, umpire telling him to knock it out, but there was nothing, no chance of that happening.
With one arm pinned, he wasn't going to let that ball slip out because he was gone.
He would be a very, very disappointed man, Matthew Armstrong. Again, failing to make an impression, his team on the mainland. And their season might be just about over after today. Edwards again. out in front of Shackleton, and he will line up for goal number 10.
I don't know why you would have Shackleton on him when he's the gun player. You've got a number of other talls, including Jonathan Hay, and you've got Berry down there, but they've not played on him.
Off only 2 steps. He's got it. Double figures for Aaron Edwards. 10 goals in a blistering performance as the Dolphins march to victory over a very disappointing Devils lineup.
Yeah, well, I'm a bit mystified by some of the decisions today made off the bench by the Tassie Tigers. I know it's easy to call it from here, but, you know, I have done it. I have coached. Had to make those Devils, I should say, Ross. Yeah,
too many Tigers.
Tigers, yeah, they're gone. How'd we be with the Tassie Tigers? We're in deep strife. They're Tigers everywhere. But, you know, just got to find some better moves, I reckon.
67 points. No, 63 points.
I'll give you an example. If you look at the... Berry is picking up Matthew Burns. Berry could easily pick up an Edwards because the bloke he's picking up's not at all. Perry, I should say. What did I say? Berry. Berry's just walked off the ground. Over Freudian slips watching him.
And Big Normie's come on to the cheers of the boys on the hill. They were calling for him to come on.
There he is with the left hand. But Beams, the captain, comes with it. Quick kick up in the Rawlings direction. Fisted away. Chance for Chad Jones. Sits for him nicely. The smother attempted by Benbow. The pressure was good. Forces Jones' kick out on the full. Jason Howard with the ball back.
Tassie have been a bit like Darren Boyd's car today, just not firing on all cylinders at the moment.
Yes, well, he's just going to have to upgrade that BMW, isn't he?
Lawyers, you know, they're like.
Yes, you can't. They don't go anywhere without a BMW, do they?
Reduce the.
It's like you're not the accessory.
Reduce the time from 6 minutes to 5 per
Yeah.
charge.
They're like an AFL footballer with blondes, aren't they, Ross, at the Brownlow night?
63 points.
Crucial accessory.
What was that song that Elle McFeast had a few years ago? I was the only brunette at the Brownlow.
Indeed.
Bounced by him by Mollison. Free kick found. Go Tassie's way. To Phil's man Perry. Is there a mark for Tassie? Rawlings went at it. Rawlings gets it. Tries to kick around the corner. Brett Gapin spun. Only found Clark. Players looking very tight. Bit sloppy for both sides, but the Dolphins come up with it. Chris Fortnum clears, and the mark taken by Barand at half-back flank. Started on the bench. Damon Barand.
20 years of age. He decides to go across the goal. He's got Fortnum out there in space. Might have been Collins, actually, over the top to Winterton. Back into the corridor to Barand. They're sharing it around, getting some touches. This game well and truly over now. In fact, it was over a long time before this. Burns, good mover. To half forward. Oh, what about that for a grab from Edwards? Sensational mark. He's not going to go for goal number 11. He looks for Eames instead. Big man got plenty of attention. Here's that man Burns again. And he took too long. What a grab, though, from Aaron Edwards.
What a day he's had. Have a look at him. He is in scintillating form. Outclassed at least 4 players.
Might be a fairly easy man of the match target today, Phil, I think.
Yeah, have a look at this.
Pollard gets it down to Oliver, and Edwards is by himself in the pocket. He decided to do the team thing, though, and centre it to Marigliani, and he should kick the goal.
We didn't even consult you today. Just for a change.
Yeah, good work.
So Marigliani lining up for goal with the man on the mark directly in front, about 45 out. to put the icing on the cake. And it just misses to the left.
1 goal 2 to Marcus Merigliani, Phil.
The man they're calling pizza on the terraces, Ross.
Oh, that's
Very inventive, isn't it? Very inventive.
very funny, those Frankston supporters. Hay the target.
They were chanting your name before.
Back to Di Veneto. I like pizza too. Here's Burley. Got the spray at three-quarter time for not obeying Matthew Armstrong's instructions, and a mark to Rawlings.
Gee, how many marks today, I reckon? 2, 3,
3.
Amazing.
8 possessions, 2 goals, 1.
We saw him at Windy Hill a month or so ago in the first quarter, I think it was. He marked everything. They got done in the end by the Bendigo Bombers.
Well, this is like to put this through from about 60 degrees. Oh, look at that face. Look on his face. 2-2. Matthew Armstrong, the Devils coach. It is a goal. Well, 3 goals, 1. He did look very excited, did he?
Well, gee. I suppose, you can't get too excited when you're that far down. And Matty Armstrong packing up the papers, and got a lot to think about, Matty. A lot to think about. In fact, I think they had a standalone side, correct me if I'm wrong, boys, with great spirit. They really were building last year. Pete, you had the final down there, and looked like they were a chance to go places. And you look at them now, they're nothing like that side, are they? And yet we thought adding a half a dozen AFL players would really give them a big boost.
We did. Hasn't worked that way. They have, of course, had a lot of problems with injuries, and as Ross was saying before, Ben Atkin not out there, and Justin Plapper kicked 8 goals in the final last year, but they've looked dispirited today at times.
Very much so.
And the final siren can't come quickly enough for anyone here, really. Norm Clark will celebrate his record equaling game by being chaired off the ground if they can find a couple of blokes strong enough to carry him. McMahon hasn't been their worst today, as we said, for Tassie. He's had a fair bit of the footy, and at least he's put himself on the line a couple of times. Burns out in front of Di Veneto, quite content to get the boundary.
Big Norm joins, goes past Peter Geddes, and I've got to say, Peter Geddes was one of the great players at Frankston. There were days when I've seen him play. One against us was an absolute ripper where he slaughtered us. A running, jumping ruckman he was. So it's a big performance by Big Normie Clark.
Di Venuto into the pocket. Roberts and Winterton combined with Pollard, who comes out in the direction of Dunn, goes over his head, but he's under no pressure, so he can just go for a gallop. The boys on the hill will like this. Give him a bit of a burst as he goes past, and he might get it back again. Cuts back inside, this time has to go backwards with the handball to Kemperman, to Phibbs, to Conroy. Morris in the pocket, had 2 to choose from, and Burns was the other option.
Wow.
So can he get a late goal and make it 4 goals to 5 in the final quarter for Tassie? Too little, too late. And what a big blow this is going to be. As far as percentage is concerned, it's going to be a real booster for Frankston. It's going to hit Tassie badly, who were only on about 91% anyway. So effectively, Frankston are going to almost move 2 games in front of Tassie, or the equivalent of. And that one drifts at the last minute. 3 goals, 2 to Chris Oliver.
Perry at the 28-minute mark. And short to Howard.
In fact, that was Burns who kicked the ball.
Yes, that's right.
Sorry.
I thought you might have been on another track. And
I was wondering why you gave me that look, Ross.
You don't like that look, do you? Chad Jones, he's going to go backwards now. He's into the corridor, just forward. Spots Shackleton. Hayes made an option. Shackleton takes off, says, I'll do it myself.
Oh, how far?
Yeah, and where to kick to. Over the head.
All that for that.
Marked by Roberts.
Incredible. No purpose in it at all.
Roberts finds Dunn. Into Benbow. Conroy. Out to Kemperman. The left footer, usually good. To Morris. Oh, he might have been free kick. Umpire said no. Street. Oh, made Shackleton work. Good steal by Burns, and he was tripped. Advantage to Morris. Goal.
No, no advantage.
Jason Armstrong, the understatement.
That's one of the best lines I've heard from an umpire. But the thing is, he was, but he kicked an absolute stunner of a goal. And it's not even going to count.
He couldn't reverse his decision,
No,
Jason
he could
Armstrong.
not.
I reckon that's the right decision,
Yes.
in all honesty. I mean, how many times do Blake kick goals like that from the pocket?
Well, you can't be. Yes, it's starting to extend the sort of.
That was his third attempt at a miraculous goal.
Yeah.
He's at the post twice, I think. Morris. He still hasn't got a goal next to his name, but Burns might well get one. And for the second time in a row, he misses completely.
Discretionary powers is what I was trying to say. Extend the umpire's discretionary powers into an area that I think is unacceptable, as you're, I think, implying, Peter.
And here it is from the pocket now. Morris, was he under pressure? Oh, look, a metre in from the boundary line. Grimer coming at him. Banana kick. Yeah, I think you could say he was under pressure and still managed to slot the goal. But as it turns out, Normie drops one there, but no score. So Tassie have it again. McMahon, Finch overran it. Chad Jones didn't. Got his hands up. Nobody to give it to. Twisting and turning done. Now they reload and get it up towards Marigliani. Street has it as the final siren brings down the curtain on a memorable day for big Normie Clark. But a shocking day for Tasmania. Their season really is looking very grim after what was a comprehensive victory. 59 points by the Dolphins over Tasmania in round 13 of the VFL. And a day to celebrate for big Daniel Clark, but a day to forget for the Tasmanian Devils, Phil Cleary.
Well, it looks to have unravelled, really, for the Tassie side, doesn't it, Peter? They had a chance. I mean, they were 5 goals in at quarter time, but they're not a shadow of the side they were last year. They just don't look anything like it. They're all over the place. They don't look fast. They look slow. They're not linking up like they did last year. They're not kicking goals. It's an awful, awful situation for Matty Armstrong. It's a tough gig too. They've gone into an alignment. They've got to try to make it work. Maybe the collection of players they've got with the Kangaroos struggling a bit isn't so great. But they're playing blokes like Jonathan Haight gets a game. Should he be in the side? What happens when the AFL player isn't playing up to it? You know, not to blame him, but he's in the mix. So they've got to think about those questions. But let's talk Frankston. Fantastic. 20 goals, 10 to Edwards. It's brilliant. And, you know, Pete, they started well, didn't they? They set the pattern. So no matter how ordinary Tassie might have looked, Frankston set the pattern and they played great football.
You could see the ferocity in the tackling early in the first quarter. We mentioned that. They came to play today. I know it's a cliche that can be overused sometimes, but they just looked on, didn't they?
They did, Peter, and I think it was shown by the way they linked up. And you asked me before, would Norm Clark's 177th game make a difference? Well, you should make it a difference, you know. You certainly want to make it special for him. What a great player he's been at the club. And there he is. Have a look at him. He's a big, big man.
And they're cheering him over to the supporters on the hill. Not towards the race at the moment. They've got a fair way to go before they get to the race. I think a bit better of that.
They've got the two big blokes under him. Eames was one of them. And
I think Chris Oliver was the other one.
Chris Oliver was the other, yes. So they're about the only two that could hold him. But Daniel, Normie is the nickname, Clark, 177 games. Great performance, a terrific player.
We just saw Tasmania heading off after the 59-point defeat. We can't get to the Tasmanian rooms. It's probably just as well, because I would suggest that there would be paint peeling off the walls in there.
He'd be ripping strips off them. He's a pretty serious coach. He is ferocious about his football. He's done well with them, but he's faced with some new challenges. As we look at the scores, Edwards, 10 goals. Oliver, a 3. Berry, lively. Phibbs, terrific. Kennedy and Clark in amongst them. On the other side, well, Rawlings, 3 goals. Yeah, but 2 of those came in the last quarter. So when it...
goal haul for the second time this season.
No, it was good. The delivery was beautiful, and the boys played well today. We've come off 5 hard weeks, so it was good to get a strong 4-quarter effort today. It's good.
And that was one of the things that we spoke about during the game, is that you needed to have a 4-quarter effort, because previously it's been a problem that you've been tiring a lot in the second half of games.
Yeah, well, Well, our major focus was last week. We went down to the Cats and we played a good first quarter and then just died. Last 3 quarters we played pretty average. So this week we're just focusing on 4 quarters and we seemed to do it. And it was a good win over Tassie because they've had the wood over us a couple of times, knocked us out of the finals last year. So it was good.
They have, and one of the things, this is the first time we've seen Frankston, and is when you first came to the club at the start of this season, was it designated that you'd be the key forward and that was where the play would be directed?
I wasn't sure about my role before I got here. I just wanted to play. I wanted to come back home because I was away in WA for 3 years, and I've only played under 18s down the road. So coming down to a local club back at home, it was good.
And we've got great support from the boys up in the hill. We've got the Dolphin man who's joined us. They've been well lubricated today.
Dolphins!
I guess with 43 goals, a great start to the year, you couldn't really, coming home, as you say, you couldn't really have asked for a better start.
Oh yeah, well it helps when the team's playing well, and like today, the delivery was good and it helped me. So hopefully we go on the rest of the season and make a push for the finals.
Well, Aaron, it's been great to watch you play. Some exciting grabs, some exciting goals, and well-deserved man of the match 10 card for you. You'll enjoy that, and good luck for the rest of the season. We hope to catch up with you again.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.
Aaron Edwards, 10 goals today down there with Darren Boyd, who I think was under more pressure than Aaron was under for most of the day.
Yes, well, you've got a big crowd around you, know. They do need to just behave themselves a little, the boys.
Yes, well, they've got a lot to celebrate, and hopefully we'll be getting into the rooms. We haven't got too much time left, but hopefully we'll have a chance of catching up with Big Normie.
Yeah, well, it's a great performance. Look, Peter, he's been one of the great players. They love him down here. He's a cult figure, you know, and the VFL needs that. All the clubs, they're suburban clubs. They need to have blokes who emerge and you can identify with, like we used to.
They always say that the theme song is sung with gusto. It's never sung with anything else. It's always with gusto, but there was plenty of that there.
And yeah, and I mean, there's all those moments in time that are special moments, like when you get a bloke like Clark playing the game. It's great that they've won the game on that day, so you can always look back to the day and say that was great, and it was on TV, Peter. So, you know, when they meet in years to come, they'll be able to talk about it.
And we've praised the efforts of the players, but well done to Brett Lovett too.
Oh, look, I'm a big rap for Brett Lovett. I've heard a lot of good stories about him, but I think he's coaching really well as a standalone coach. You've got to take your hat off to him. Done a great effort with them, and they've got a pretty good side, Peter. They could surprise a few.
Well, in our few remaining minutes, let's head down to the rooms and Roscoe.
Well, if you can hear me over this, I've never seen or heard such a reaction for a while. Brett Lovett and Normie Daniel Clark, what a great win firstly, Brett.
Yeah, well, it's been 3 or 4 weeks since you've had a win, so yeah, to get 3 good quarters. The last quarter wasn't quite so good, but geez, it feels good, yeah.
It certainly would buy in there, just 2 losses. And what about this man, Daniel Normie Clark, 177 games, the record-equaling game today. Tell us a little bit about him, a fantastic player.
Norm's just been a fantastic player down this club for a long period of time, not only on the ground but off the ground as well. He puts everything into his game, everything he possibly can. He's got a young family with that now as well, and the job obviously. But yeah, he's just a true Frankston person. He gives his all every week, and you know we want him to keep playing forever.
We do, and I think real men big do cry. And Daniel, almost a few tears in the eye.
Just a bit of sweat, Ross. No, it was just terrific to actually have a win and to have finished after the last few weeks where we haven't really been playing that well, but to actually do it in front of the TV and give ourselves a chance to make the finals, that's what it's about. And we played with a lot of passion today, so I hope we can just continue that on for the last 7 or 8 weeks. So.
Did you know who Peter Geddes was? Did you see him play?
I didn't see him play, but I know Pete reasonably well. We see him every now and then down here with the past players' days, and heard he was just a terrific player. A little bit different to myself, Ross, with his athleticism and flamboyance, but no, yeah, he's a great bloke, and yeah, just wrapped to be able to stick around long enough to yeah, get on the board.
Good on you, Daniel. Look, fantastic from all of the VFL supporters. He's provided lots of fun, and he's a great bloke. Daniel Clark, Normie.
Thanks,
They're a happy lot down there, and well they should be, and if we could get a camera over into the Tassie rooms, it would be the complete opposite of what we just saw there, because they will be doing some soul searching this week.
Things have fallen apart. They've got to go back to the drawing board. They've got to work out their alignment question with North Melbourne, with the Kangaroos, and which players and where they play them and who are the keys. They've got to sort out the Jonathan Hay question. They've got to sort out a lot of things, Peter.
Just the one game of VFL football on today, so we've got a packed Sunday, and let's have a look at the matches coming up tomorrow. Geelong versus Box Hill. We'd say the Cats would have to go in favourites there.
Yeah, dead set.
Made a couple of big